This is a quick demonstration of last updated for Concrete 5.7 and above. Now here's a bit of content that I've got on a page that I prepared earlier. It's just a content block, and what I want to do is to show a little message to show when this page or the content on this page was last updated. So let's just add the block. Here we are at the bottom of the basic block section. I'll put it in the bottom of the main area of the page. First thing we see here on the dialog is which areas of the page last updated is going to study in order to work out what's been updated. And all we're interested in here is the main area selected by default. The only other thing I'm going to change on this is a little bit of how it's displayed. I'm going to put in a colour which is the elemental lime greeny colour. That's 75CA2A. Choose that. I'm going to leave the font at the default size. I'm going to centre the text. I'm going to add a little bit of italic emphasis and just add it to the page. And there we are, last updated an hour ago. Now before I save, I'll just open this up again. One of the other things we have here is an option to use global settings. Now, as well as the actual block edit that you're seeing at the moment, there's also a dashboard page with global settings on it, and these global settings affect any last updated block where this checkbox is selected, and also provide the default settings for any newly updated or newly added last updated block. So I'm going to change this to use the global settings, and now this looks different because the global settings have not been set for our page. So we'll save the page anyway. Now we'll go to the dashboard and we'll look at the last updated global settings. So here we have a longer list of page areas because this is the list of areas across all pages. On the display tab, my colour, I'm now going to put the same colour in globally, which is 75CA2A hex. I'm going to pick a font size of 10 pixels, centre by default, emphasis by default. I have a few more general things that I could select: strong, underline, add some classes from my theme. I could put a message in here with %s being the placeholder for where the actual date timestamp goes. I'm going to leave it as last updated, that's convenient. The next tab is the date time format, and here we're using a format called friendly time, and here's some examples of the sort of things friendly time would display. Now if I want to change that, I have a range of other formats available. We also have a means of searching through these formats if there's a lot of them installed and you want to find a particular one. We have friendly time that we're using here, and there are our examples. We have the core date helper, and that has some reasonably friendly times, as in differences ago. So we could use the core date helper. We have the date helper, but this time displaying an absolute time rather than how long ago. We have Carbon, which is a library that's integrated with the core, a third-party library, and it has an ability to show times like these. The legacy constants are typically the constants that you would have seen on Concrete 5.6 for various time formats. They're all provided here, so you can format in any of those ways. None, that's just purely a date stamp. PHP date formats, well, here you can enter any PHP date format string for whatever the PHP date object is capable of formatting, and SQL time is the same way you'd display a database stamp. Anyway, I'm going to leave it at friendly time. Let's cancel that. The advanced option. One of the things that might change what you want to see on a page, do we want last updated blocks to be part of it? No. If I had a last updated block to a page, I don't want to change that that page was updated by that last updated block. I want it to show what was going on before, but I might not want to. When I add stacks, stacks are actually a sort of block on the page that displays a stack of blocks. Now, do I want that stack block to be updated purely when the stack is added to the page, or do I want to look inside and see when was the stack updated, or when were individual blocks within the stack updated, so that a page at the front end of the site could change its updated time if a stack at the back end of the site was edited. I can set the date and time to adjust to the visitor's time zone. Now, not really relevant with relative times, but with absolute times, the concept of yesterday is different, perhaps where the server is located, to what is yesterday to where the visitor is located. I could just ignore all the clever stuff and just use the page's update time. That cuts out a lot of processing, but it's nowhere near as sophisticated. And I could allow some HTML tags in the update message. These are things like adding a little bit of extra formatting, or maybe a class to pull in a font awesome icon. When I'm calculating a time, I can have a minimum offset. You can use this to add some granularity to the time. So if I set this maybe for an hour, then the last updated time would never be more than an hour ago, or never be less than an hour ago, to be accurate. This can be useful if you decide to cache the block output. By default, last updated isn't cached, but if we wanted to cache the block output, we could decide to cache the output here. I'm going to leave that off for the time being, and I'm going to leave that down to nothing. The final tab on the dashboard page is for support, and amongst all the things we can do here, apart from link to various support pages and extra information, is we can export the settings. And here are the current settings. I could select all of those and copy and paste them. So having exported the settings that are currently in this page, I'm now going to import them back again. So you won't actually see anything change, but there they are imported. And here I am back at my global settings. This support tab is also available on ordinary block edits. You can copy settings between blocks and between sites. And I'm going to save these global settings. So here we have our color, and in the center, and a few other things. Save that. Now let's go back to the front of the page, and here we have last updated according to the global settings that we added. Thank you for watching, and enjoy the last updated block.